Someone at a dinner party asks what you drive. You tell them, Honda, gray, 2017. There's a pause, not long half a second, and then a specific kind of nodding. The adjustment people make when they've revised their estimate of you downward and are being polite about it. You notice, you always notice, you have $847,000 in assets, and you notice every single time someone makes that adjustment. Nobody knows you're rich. That's the whole point. Level 1, your car. Ryan at work drives a 2023 BMW M3. He has posted it 11 times on Instagram since March. His most recent caption, different energy, 412 likes. The photo was taken at 7:14 in the morning because the light was better. He asked you once, genuinely curious, whether you were thinking about getting something newer. The way he asked was careful, the way you ask a question when you already have an opinion about the answer and you want the other person to arrive at it themselves. You said you weren't. Ryan's payment is $847 a month on a 72-month loan. Over the full term, $61,000 for an asset currently worth $43,000 and declining. The Instagram posts don't show the payment. They show the car catching light at 7:14 a.m. Your Honda has been paid off since 2021. The $847 you don't spend on a car payment has been going somewhere else every month for 48 months. $847 times 48. You know the number. You don't say it to Ryan. The feeling when he asked about the new car wasn't embarrassment. It was closer to being mistaken for someone who doesn't know something you know. Not anger, not pride. The specific stillness of a person who has already decided and doesn't need the decision confirmed. You are not driving a cheap car. You are driving $40,656 that Ryan cannot see compounding in an account he doesn't know exists. Level 2, your clothes. Gray t-shirt, dark jeans, New Balance 550s $78 bought 14 months ago. Still clean because you take care of things. Someone at the coffee shop this morning clocked the outfit and made the same quiet calculation Ryan made about the car. The glance that doesn't linger. Nothing to read. You register this the way you register weather noted not felt. The bag at the counter next to you costs $200. It broadcasts one thing continuously to everyone in its vicinity. I paid $200 for this. The broadcast is the product. The bag carries things, but that's secondary. That's almost incidental. You remember buying things like that? The way it felt for about 2 weeks placed legible scene at the right level. And then the feeling thinning. And then the pull toward the next thing that would produce the feeling again. Logos were designed for the audience. You understood this, and then you understood something quieter underneath it. The audience was never paying the specific kind of attention you needed. The approval moved every time you got close. The performance had no last scene. You stopped. It took roughly 6 months before you stopped feeling the absence. You are not underdressed. You are unreadable. Outside the system people are using to place each other, which means you cannot be placed, cannot be adjusted downward, cannot be filed into a category that then determines how someone in this room decides to treat you. That is not an accident. That is architecture. Level 3, your neighborhood. The neighborhood is not what people expect when they ask where you live. Middle suburb, normal block. Your neighbor Dave spent $34,000 on a kitchen renovation last October. Quartz countertops. Farmhouse sink the cabinets with the little glass inserts that show the dishes inside. Instagram post with 203 likes. A caption about finally doing it. You moved $22,000 into index funds the same month. You didn't mention it at the block association meeting. Your mortgage has been paid off since 2022. 9 years early. The $1,847 a month you freed up has gone somewhere else every month since 36 months. Consistent, automatic, and visible. You know that number without looking it up. Dave's kitchen looks better than yours. He speaks at neighborhood gatherings with the confidence of someone whose house is worth knowing about. Last spring, he mentioned his property value estimate to 3 different people in the same conversation. You said nothing. You own the house outright. You are the only person on this block who does. Nobody at the gathering knew that. You didn't tell them. The information didn't need to exist in that room to be true. There's a feeling in those moments that isn't envy and isn't satisfaction either. It's closer to watching a movie where you can see what happens next, and you don't say anything because it isn't your movie and nobody asked. You are not behind Dave. You are in a different event on a different timeline with a different finish line. His finish line photographs well. Yours compounds. Level 4, your vacations. 19 days in Japan, Kyoto for the first week, Osaka, then Tokyo, then 3 days in a smaller city south of Hiroshima. You'd read about once in a book and wanted to see before you talked yourself out of it. You came back and didn't post. One photo, a bowl of ramen with a soft-boiled egg. The yolk a specific shade of orange, $9 at a counter with 8 seats, where you sat next to a man who didn't speak English and nodded at you twice during the meal, in a way that meant something about the food. You sent it to your sister. Best thing I've eaten in a decade. She asked if you had fun. You said yes. That was the entire debrief. Total $4,200. Not the $9,800 all-inclusive in 2019 that produced 47 Instagram posts and a feeling that lasted about a week before thinning. Not a trip you needed to document to justify to yourself or anyone watching. $4,200 in 19 days, and you remember the texture of every single one of them. There's a version of experience that requires witnesses. The resort infinity pool positioned for photographs. The upgrade that needs to be mentioned. You've stayed in those places. You know what they're selling, and it's not the pool. It's the feeling of being the kind of person who can afford the pool, and that feeling has an extremely short half-life. You walked 4 hours one afternoon in Kyoto without checking your phone. It rained. You found a shrine with no other tourists and stood there for longer than made sense and didn't photograph it. Nobody saw any of this. It happened anyway. You're not being humble about your life. You are done needing the receipt to be public before the experience counts as real. Level 5. Your conversations. Dinner with people you don't know well. Someone asks what you do for work. You say some investing consulting work here and there. They nod and turn to the next person. Some investing covers $847,000 across 3 accounts. A rental property 2 hours away, net $1,900 a month. 2 consulting retainers, $8,400 combined. Consulting work is accurate in approximately the way that saying a hospital does some healthcare is accurate. Later in the meal, someone says they've been thinking about investing but don't know where to start. You give them 2 sentences. The 401k match, the index fund, automatic transfers. If they want more, they'll ask. They don't ask. The conversation moves to a show everyone is watching. You've watched people at tables like this announce numbers. Net worth mentioned in the third person. Investment positions described with the specific casualness of someone who needs you to know they have the position. You understand what's happening, the number hasn't settled inside them yet. It needs to exist in your perception of them to feel stable in their own perception of themselves. Your number has settled. It doesn't need this table. You order the chicken. You listen. You drive home in the same car. You park in the same lot. You are not being modest. You are being precise about which rooms your information belongs in. Level 6. The price. Here's what this cost, not the money. The other thing. The dinners where your life did not look like progress from the outside. The car that was fine but not impressive year after year. The version of yourself who watched other people upgrade the car, the apartment, the kitchen, the vacation that needed to be photographed, and felt the pull. Not once, not twice, reliably the way the pull always comes, and decided again not to follow. The Ryans who asked about your car, the Daves whose kitchens got 203 likes, the dinners where someone's new thing moved through the conversation like evidence of something, and your version of evidence was invisible and therefore didn't count toward the score everyone else was keeping. There were years this was harder than you expected. You want to be honest about that. It was not a clean one-time decision. It was a decision remade continuously in small, ordinary moments, without applause, without a number updating in real time to confirm it was working. And then one morning you open an account, and the number is there, the real number. And the quiet around it is enormous, not because of what it means for spending, but because of what it means for fear. A specific kind of fear. The unexpected bill, the job that disappears, the body that needs something expensive. That category of fear goes silent, and you don't fully understand how much room it was taking up until the room is suddenly empty. You think about Ryan and his posts. 11 photos of a car that belongs to the bank for 5 more years. You don't feel superior. You feel the particular clarity of someone who has already walked out of a building everyone else is still trying to get into. You stop performing. The money kept moving. Somewhere right now, someone is at a dinner party being asked what they drive. They say Honda. The pause arrives. The polite adjustment. They notice. They always notice. And they don't know yet that the noticing is the beginning of something. That every pause is data about the game other people are playing. that the game has an entry fee you've already stopped paying. They don't know yet that the Honda is not about the Honda. They don't know yet what happens in the account quietly month after month while the dinner table talks about something else. They think this is about a car. It's not. It's about everything that gets built in the space where the performance used to be. Wealth was never supposed to be legible. The people who told you it was were selling you something.